Time will tell.
There's
There's always a chance.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, go ahead. Okay, it's about 1:04. I'd say we call this meeting to order. We can start by pledge of allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, the next item I see is some public comments. Has anybody got any public comments before we start?
Ask for public comment in Carson.
Can you hear us in Reno?
Yes, I hear you.
Yep.
Is there any public comments out of Reno?
This is Pat Jackson with the Nevada Department of Wildlife. I just wanted to bring everyone's attention that NDOW will be soliciting public comment on the reports we've received from private contractors and wildlife services. We'll be presenting that September 24th at 6 p.m. in the NDOW office in Las Vegas.
Okay.
What time did you say, Pat?
6 p.m.
Okay.
Las Vegas.
In Dallas.
Yeah.
It's wildlife services and other contractors.
Thank you, other contractors.
Is there any other public comments?
Not here.
Okay. Well, there's no other public comments, and I guess we'll approve the minutes of the meeting of July 29th of 2015.
It's part of your packet. It's actually the stapled version.
It's June 29th.
June 29th.
We missing a page? I'm not seeing what action happened on 7 or if no action was taken.
Yeah, you just need to keep going.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Has everybody had a chance to look at these minutes?
I'd make a motion we approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion been made and seconded by Darryl Purcell and seconded by Grant Wallace. With no other questions, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Grant? Aye or nay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so motion carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda, I guess we'll review and approve of new committee applicants for the 2 additional committee positions as approved by the Nevada legislature. Flint, you wanna bring us up to speed?
Yep.
with it?
And it should be part of your packet here. If not, we're gonna make sure that it is. There you go. You should each have an application filled out. It's a front and back. We had 2 applicants. Of course, Walt Gardner, who's here with us today, and then Cody Krinka. Grant, do you have this? We emailed it to you.
I was just opening, I have it, but they're all blank.
Oh, maybe we sent you only the application process. I'll have Sydney send you the applications.
No, well, that, but I didn't have a blank page. It just takes a little
Oh, okay. Sydney's telling me that it just takes a minute to load, Grant.
Okay, I've tried to bring it up on my computer and it was blank, and I'm looking on my phone and it's still blank, so.
Okay.
Sharon, can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes.
Dennis Belcourt for the record. Just to be clear, the statute that directs the committee to have these new positions says that the chair makes the decision. So really this board, I mean, you could make a recommendation, but the decision, designation is made by the chair.
Okay. I didn't understand what he said first.
What he said, Pete, was that yeah, all the rest of the committee can look at this, for input, but you're the one who actually makes the decisions for the appointments.
Right, no, I understand that.
So,
One of these is for a sportsman side and one's for the guided side.
that's correct.
Why, they're short enough, if Grant can't get his open, what if we just read out loud into the record what the applications say?
Sure.
Maybe they can get us rolling.
Grant, has it come up for you yet, or anything like that, or?
No, it hasn't. Is it my understanding we just have 2 applications, one for each position?
That's correct. Yeah, essentially, we'll just start with Cody Krinka's, and then we'll get to Walt Gardner's. Cody Krinka here, he's based out of Elko, Nevada. He's 39 years old, been an avid sportsman his entire life. Grew up on a ranch in rural Nevada. Enjoyed the outdoors and wildlife in the great state. Proper management of predators in the state of Nevada is important in order to ensure the sustainability of our wildlife herds. For the economic protection of Nevada's ranchers and sheep producers, predators have the ability to make a quick and detrimental impact on both wildlife and livestock herds, and if they're not properly managed, can lead to a negative economic impact on the industries outside the hunting and livestock community as well. On the fourth question, I understand the role that predators have when it comes to wildlife management and that they are needed to help ensure the overall health of wildlife herds. I also understand that predator numbers are not properly managed, they can have an economic, emotional, and sometimes catastrophic impact to our communities. As far as how active he is on county advisory boards, he says he has attended a few meetings. Does he participate in the Nevada Department of Wildlife Commission meetings? He's not attended any state meetings. Contractor to work with USDA Wild Services, he has not.
Question and clarification for the record, Jim Barbie. So if they carry a guide license, then they've been background checked. So Cody would be the example of one that we've got to put through a background check. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
He is a teacher here in
That's
Elko.
what I was going to ask. If
And
Dennis, so he's a teacher currently at the Elko County School District. Would we have to do a background check on Cody, or could we recognize that because he's holding a valid credential through the Nevada Department of Education that he's gone through an FBI background check to qualify for that license?
Looking at the statute right now, this is the, both positions are the same, right? You have a required background check. Well, you could determine based on what evidence you have. I mean, somebody who, as a teacher, would have initially at least gone through a background check to become a teacher. You probably know more than I do about this, Jim, whether you have subsequent background checks, or is there anything that would, but anyway, I think it doesn't specify in the law exactly what kind of background check you have to do.
Yeah, you
You
have.
said you haven't been convicted of a violation of this title, and so, it would be within your discretion as a committee or as the chair, I guess, to make that decision based on the evidence you have.
And I believe on the education side, you have to go through a background check every 6 years when you renew your license through FBI. And that involves submitting fingerprints, which I'm assuming is the same on the Endow side for the guide license. And so it would be very similar. And I mean, if you have any felony convictions, you can't hold a license in the state, I believe. Maybe we'll do some more checking on that after.
Well, you can't have a firearm, so I wouldn't think you could have a license.
Right. But I would assume that if he holds a valid, which we've got to look on their website and make sure it's in date and everything, but it would be easy enough to check. Just a thought.
So is there any other questions on Cody? So I have one question. Since there's only one applicant, does that obligate us to just take one applicant, or do we have the options of?
No, I mean, if you guys wanted to keep it open, you know, the positions and see if we can get further applicants, we could do that. But Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, but just because we have one applicant for each position, that doesn't mean we can't fill it. Is that correct?
Okay, you don't have to pick the applicant you have in front of you if you don't want to. If you want to keep on looking, I don't see any obligation for you to just choose the one applicant if you're not satisfied with the one applicant.
And the term either way is just 1 year, correct? This is Jim Barbie for the record.
I'm
I believe that was my understanding.
I'm looking at this.
Sorry, Dennis, we're hitting you with a million questions.
I appreciate that. I like the work. It's just, I think that's in the general statute, so I want to go back to that. Give me a moment, please. For some reason, I'm not seeing a term in here.
No.
Second.
Wait for him for a minute.
So I thought at some point it said 1 year term.
It's not I'm doing a word search and it's not showing a
So
term in here.
my memory's poor.
I don't recall any terms on them all,
Okay.
to tell you the truth. So unless they changed it, I don't think they have any terms. Most
That
of
was
the
inaccurate. There wasn't a year term on it like I thought there was.
most of the terms, like they were held under the positions. They're appointed positions by their respective agencies up until now. Farm Bureau, Board of Ag.
Right, those drive the terms. That's why I was wondering. We're thinking that this had, because it's a little different than there were other positions that it had a term, but it doesn't.
It does refer to terms, but, so you cannot serve 2 consecutive terms. Which means there must be somewhere, okay, each year, unless you committee meeting each year, Each is to serve a term that expires on the date of the first meeting of the committee that occurs on or after January 1, 2017. That's for,
So it's a 2-year term, essentially.
looks like it expired, you have to have a new, will expire on the first meeting of the, after January 1, 2017. That's section 8 of the legislation.
So that's new portion of it, just like the new positions. Flint, right, for the record? Is that right, Dennis?
I'm just reading the, the new positions is to serve until, first meeting after January 1, 2017. So those new positions are considering have that termination.
So would you suggest then it's, so interpret what you're telling us here. Is that a 2-year term or is it a 1-year term or what do we?
It's in between or, Dennis Belfort again. They just serve until the first meeting of, after January 1st, 2017, which is less than 2 years, but more than 1 year from now.
So, but based on that, then anybody appointed after the first meeting in January of 2017 would be appointed for life, or? Or am I not understanding, which is entirely possible?
Well, this is a section in the law I'm referring to that's not part of the, it's not an amendment to the NRS, so it just governs this particular appointment. So I'm guessing if you have I'm looking and see if we have a 1-year term somewhere in here for all members, in which case they would serve a 1-year term thereafter. If there's a 2-year term for all members, then they would serve a 2-year term thereafter. It all depends on that. And for some reason, it's not in this chapter, the term limits. Term length, term duration
78.
is not,
Did we add it in? 78?
It's 5, 6,
that's one in chapter 567.
We're talking the bill number that we had through the Senate.
Well, I'd have to look up whether there's anything else where. But maybe you are, if there's nothing else where, it would be just subject to, removal, but then that's a good question, a good research question you've given me here. So for the current members, the question is, when do their terms end?
Well, their terms, this is for the record, Jim Barbie, their terms would be determined by their mothership, as it were, because they're representing. So in other words, when Pete Paris termed off the Board of Ag, he would then term off of the PARC committee because he's the only sheep representative, is my understanding.
Not designated by wildlife, and is there somebody designated by wildlife?
One's the Wildlife Commission, one's Farm Bureau, and then 2 from the Board of Ag. One representing sheep.
They'd be replaced when the particular designating entity decided they should be replaced.
Right.
So that would probably be the case. So it's just these 2 memberships that might have
Term
a little
limits.
bit of uncertainty, at least for their second term, whether their second term is 1 year or more. Or the chair decides to designate somebody else, in which case they become a replacement. So I'm looking at this, in most cases, it's going to be the designating authority that decides to keep keep or remove a member, or if they serve by virtue of the status elsewhere, if their status changes. A new person comes into that status, that person takes over. In the case of these two members, designated by the chair, they are, by virtue of subsection 8 of this, or subsection 8 of this statute, they serve a term that expires on the date of the first meeting of the committee that occurs on or after January 1. Well, that's all members, actually, sections 5 and 6.
Right.
It looks like they established for all members of section 5 or 6, you're going to have a whole new designating process in a year and a half.
Well, and I have a question. I'm looking at the actual bill as enrolled. If you look under section 6 of that, it says part 2. Upon the selection of the chair at the first meeting of each year, the chair shall designate the member described in subsection 5 and 6 of 567.030, which 5 is the hunting sportsman license to hunt, trap, fish, and 6 is the master guide license as a master guide issued. So that's where I think I got, and I still would maintain that's yearly.
And that overrules that. It says, well, it's at least with respect to the section 6 nominee, it says notwithstanding the mandatory provisions of subsection 2 of section 6 of this act, the chair of the committee shall, as soon as practicable after the effective date, blah, 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 designate the members of the committees described in subsections 5 and 6, each to serve a term that expires on the date of the first meeting of the committee that occurs on or after January 1, 2017. This language is not codified. That means it's designated only to apply to this particular instance. That's why it's not codified. So for those nominees, those members in sections, subsection 5 and 6 of 567.030, those are going to serve for a year and a half more, and then the other provisions that you just cited, Jim, apply generically thereafter.
I don't know, I'm lost at this
Yeah.
point.
And
I saw
so the two people you're appointing today serve until the first meeting after January 1st, 2017. That's a one-time only exception to the rule set forth that Jim just cited, and that is after the first meeting of each year, the members designated by the chair serve for one-year terms.
So let me summarize. I think I understand you now. So this first appointment will be until January of 2017. After that, the section I referenced would kick in and would be a yearly appointment.
Precisely.
Yay! Ag educators can learn. Okay, so does that make sense?
Yes, I understand it.
So I was kind of right and I was kind of wrong.
I understand.
Heavy on the kind of wrong. All right, so with that, and then the other, so by reading this, then I got another question. This is Jim Barbie again for the record. It also states in subsection 2 that they must have been issued a license to hunt, trap, and or fish in the state in at least 3 of the past 5 immediate preceding years. So even if we did make an appointment on Cody today, we would still have to put a caveat if it passed the requirements, because we'd have to check with NDOW on that specifically, because that's not data that we would have and that they did not provide in their application for the
Since the chair is making it, Dennis Belfort, since the chair is making the designation, you can make your recommendation now, and then you can have the verification occur later, and then the chair will make the designation after that verification checks out properly. And if it doesn't check out properly, he can make a designation. That would be one, that would be the approach to take if you're not certain about whether somebody has the qualifications.
Well, in which case, we might as well postpone and put out applicants.
That would be what I was leaning to till we understand it all, that we postpone the complete appointments to the next meeting.
What if, for the record, Mr. Chair, what if, we postpone this and had a meeting prior to the next Board of Ag meeting? So let's say we had a meeting, end of September, beginning of October.
I mean, December,
No, end of September, beginning of October, right?
for the next.
For like a month, no,
Oh,
for PARC meeting.
separate.
So that we could get appointments, so that we can have people, so that we can move, so we're not held up another 3 months without having anybody in place to start looking at these, because basically NDOW is building their predator management plan now, so we need to be engaged now, but we're kind of caught on this conundrum. If we're gonna have to put out one, we might as well put out, and I'm just speaking in my opinion, it's obviously up to you, Mr. Chairman, and don't take any offense, Grant. I'm just saying, if we're gonna have to put out one and hold off, let's do it for a short time, try to get more applicants, because the more applicants the merrier, I guess. And then, in the meantime, we'll make sure that when they, so like we can go back to Cody and say, show us proof that you've had a license, or we can ask NDOW for proof that it has a license and that the education background check counts, and then we can come back with a meeting at the beginning of October and give you that. Do we have to be in a meeting for the chairman to make his appointment? There's a question.
No, if the chairman can do that without a meeting.
So why don't you give us a tape to postpone to get you all the information, and then by which to get you the information, and then you can make your appointment. Because then we wouldn't have to come back to a meeting, you could just do it by
Phone conference or.
just do it. You just give it to us in writing.
Okay. Does that mean though?
But then
that-
you don't get the opinion of the rest of the board or
Right.
committee. So maybe you wanna talk about, I don't know, just trying to figure out how to get there from here.
But what's with the process that some people felt like they weren't, didn't get to apply and.
Yeah, we had one, person that said that they weren't aware.
We sent this out to
But it was well
Cattlemen's Farm
dispersed.
Bureau, NDOW, it was on our own website, and everybody, and all the committee members. So, that's who we were requested to send it out to, and that's who we sent it out to. Yeah, we have one gentleman who feels that he wasn't informed well enough about the application, and if you guys wanted to delay a month, then we would say, okay, here's your opportunity, you know, to put somebody forward, or yourself, or something like that, and then the chairman has to make the decision.
So, and maybe how much does the committee even feel about that? I mean,
Well, I know, this is Darrell Purcell for the record, when Clay got it for Farm Bureau, I happened to be in the office or on the phone with him, he goes, what's this? I go, what? He goes, well, do you have to be reappointed? And he started reading the deal, like, oh, no, that's the guidelines we set for the sportsman and the trapper, but it was kind of confusing to him, he didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So, I mean, maybe if you don't know it's coming, you kind of look at it and go, oh, you okay? I don't know, I didn't read it, so.
Okay.
But it could have been, it might not be bad to wait a month. It's up to Pete.
I have no qualms with waiting a month or 6 weeks or whatever it takes, and it, just long as we're within our right to do so. I don't, seems like there's been some misunderstanding from different people, and
Okay.
and I guess anybody that, what would we do, re-advertise to let people know? that
Oh yeah,
we
we
want-
just keep advertising it, and we'd
We're
shoot
not
out.
actually advertising it.
Well, yeah. Well, we'd do it again because we actually pulled it down.
Alright.
What was it, last week?
Yeah,
Or-
'cause it expired on
Yeah.
there was a date that they needed to apply by.
Well, we just do it again.
but we would follow up on these applicants to make sure that they met the qualifications.
Right,
and
the applicants
whoever
we
else.
have, and whoever else has to,
You're gonna have
if they have an application, which the guides we know are all, have their background check already complete, is that correct?
Correct.
So, if you're a sportsman, you'd need to you'd need to provide your background, or at least the opinion that your background check would pass.
Well, and I think can we get Chris to run?
Yeah, we can get Chris to
Yeah,
run the
or-
background
and
checks.
We can run that one ourselves.
On the NDL, background check, it's not a fingerprint background check. I don't know if that makes a difference, but they do run a background check on us every year, but it's not a fingerprint background. So I don't know if that makes a difference. Apparently it satisfies their needs, but I just want you to be aware of
We
that.
can confer with council after the meeting and get him to give us an opinion on that. And then we'll give you what he tells us we should give you.
All right, well I think that's a good idea.
I'm looking at a calendar. September 30th is a Wednesday, so you could declare that we
How about
Provide
something like
the-
October 15th, 6 weeks? Is that too long?
actually 13th would be 6 weeks.
Or something?
Yeah. It's up to you. You're the chair.
I make the suggestion that we wait, give it 6 weeks, make sure everybody's on the same page, everybody understands, there's no hard feelings. And then
We'll
not-
submit the information to you by October 13th
Yeah.
for a decision.
if the only information we have right now, we'll go from there, and if there's any, has to be done by October 13th.
Well, we'll have clarification on the background check both
Right.
ways, and we'll have for sure Cody's back information on 3 out of 5 years with
Yeah.
a license.
So what date is the next meeting, or are we having a meeting?
We wouldn't have a meeting.
Okay,
We
so
would just
obviously
provide
by the
him.
13th.
We'll
Okay.
provide the information to the chair, Pete, and do you want to get a opinion from Grant or Walt?
What's that now?
That's
Yeah.
Grant, Walt's behind
Or
me.
Walt, back and forth.
I'm okay with that, Pete.
Okay, I wish Boyd would have got here sooner, but we're doing a lot of stuff without him. But I think that gives us a better chance for eliminating complaining and misunderstandings and anything else that could muddy up the waters.
Sure.
'Cause when we get this done, I wanna be able to go out and kill coyotes.
Okay.
Or coyotes or ravens or whatever else that needs to be taken care of to get to protect everything that needs to be protected,
Roger that.
especially the sage grouse. And I'm still not convinced that the biggest predator to the sage grouse is not the coyote. I know the raven is pretty high up there, but in my experiences, I've seen a lot more coyote damage to them birds than anything else.
Since we do have Walt here and you'll be making the decision outside that, do you want to give Walt an opportunity to present his application to you at this time?
Yeah, would you like to answer some of the questions so we know?
If
Or add
you'd
anything
like,
to it.
or if you want to ask me some questions, I can answer them to the best of my ability.
Maybe for the benefit of Grant Wallace, since he's over the phone and he can't see your application, would you mind just speaking to a couple of the questions, Walt?
I would not mind.
Okay, you can come on up here.
Do you want a copy of your application?
Yeah, I'll just.
No, I can answer off the top of my head. It'd be a lot more honest.
So please describe your experience as a licensed guide.
I started guiding mountain lion hunts in 1993. I worked first for Cat Track Outfitters out of Idaho, and then I started working for Secret Pass Outfitters. I believe it was in 97 I started doing deer hunts for them. In 02 I purchased the business, and my wife and I have been running it since that time. We do elk, deer, sheep, goats, pretty much everything. I've even done a coyote hunt or two.
Okay, can you describe your wildlife and or livestock background?
I grew up in a ranching family. I've been involved in ranching all my life. As I said before, I started guiding in 93 and I've been hunting since before I could get a tag. You know, I was designated dogger at that time.
And what's your philosophy regarding lethal predatory control, please, related to both wildlife and livestock?
Without lethal predator control, we don't have a viable operation of any sort. Either the predators can take the excess production, or the human can take the excess production. We can split the difference, but without a certain amount of control, they're going to take all excess production. Whether it's crops or wildlife or sheep or cows or.
And can you describe your understanding of the interaction between predators, wildlife, and livestock, which you kind of hit on there?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, there's got to be a balance there. If we let them run rampant, we have no harvestable excess.
And how active are you on your county advisory board to manage wildlife?
I'd like to say I attend them all, but I miss them periodically, and the same with the commission meeting. I've been to a lot of them, but not all of them.
And have you participated in, contracted to have, or worked with USDA Wildlife Services, NDOW, or Department of Agriculture to engage in predator control before?
No. The plane flies our property, but we're not under contract the way I understand it. So we appreciate what they do, but we're not under contract with them.
And any other questions that the rest of the committee might have for Walt?
Daryl?
I don't have any,
Grant, would you like to ask Walt any questions?
No, I'm good. I've worked with Walt through the Wildlife Commission before.
Well, I do think that you and I agree on most of what needs to be done. Just my thing on this board or any of these boards is I want to be able to do stuff with the least amount of controversy. I want to get our point across, but I don't want controversy. I don't want things that will deter it by people being angry over the way things are presented or how harsh we speak or how harsh we try to drive the point across. We all know, at least we feel we're right, and I think we're right, but I want to make sure that when we do stuff that we present it in a fashion that don't turn everybody against us and slow our progress down. That will be a main concern of mine with whoever applies for this position, that I just want it always in an ethical way where we get our point across and we do everything we can to get what we want, but we do it in a politically, I guess the word politically correct manner or whatever you want to call it, but whatever it takes we got to do to get it across, but we have to do it in a fashion that we don't turn people against us. Where I'll be when
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Statistics have shown that 70% of the people are in the medium. They haven't made their determination whether hunting or trapping is correct. 15% are anti, 15% are pro, and we need to promote our message to the 70%. We're never going to convince the 15 that are anti, but we need to promote it.
Well, I understand that 100%. I understand that 100%, but it still, to me, it comes back to the point we need to educate it, we need to promote it, but we don't need to get into a fashion where that 15% starts working on the 70% alongside of us, against us, because they are so upset of any radicalism that we might have. I just want it done to the utmost of our ability that we can do it, but yet I want it done with respect and dignity, I guess, or however to word it. Just, I don't like ruffling feathers, and I know just wanting to kill a coyote ruffles a certain amount of feathers, but so be it. It's just that we somehow we do it with respect and dignity. It's my biggest concern, because I've seen so many things that people all agree, but yet it turns into I wouldn't do that if my life depended on it, just because you tried shoving it down my throat type deal, and then that, to me, that goes in the wrong direction. And that's my take on how we need to proceed with this. But we need to kill as many as we can for sure. So.
Okay. So we'll report back to you on October 13th with cleaned up applications and any additional applications that we have.
Okay.
Oh, is he on the phone? He wants to do it from the office. That's fine.
Grant,
Yeah,
we've got Boyd wanting to join the conversation, so hopefully I do this right, okay?
okay.
So just,
I'll call back.
okay,
All right, thank you.
you bet.
pick up a transfer call.
Hmm?
So we'll move to the next one. We got a presentation.
Grant, are you still there?
That's what happens to me.
Me too, I was just telling Cynthia.
I was gonna be impressed if it worked.
I can do it if I call both.
Oh, no, he's there, he's there.
You got Grant?
Grant, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Oh, good.
You guys continue. I'll see if Boyd's starting the other one and pursue this half.
Is Boyd there now?
Tell Boyd to call my cell phone and I'll just put him on the cell phone.
Yeah.
We're asking if there are any other questions. Are we waiting till Boyd gets on the line?
I think so.
Are we waiting till Boyd gets on the line?
We're waiting for Boyd to get on the line, yeah.
I just got a call in a minute ago, so.
Okay.
Hello, are you still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
We're waiting for Boyd to call me on my cell phone, Dennis.
Ju-
Go ahead.
Just a quick question, do Cody and I need to resubmit ours?
No.
Is it-
Well, we'll follow up with you if we, and I think yours is good, we just gotta follow up on the NDOW background check.
Okay.
But then we'll follow up with Cody, but you're in, we'll clean up whatever those questions are before we send it over to him, for the, by the October 13th date. So you're in, I think you're good to go.
Okay.
If somebody does tell us we need a fingerprint, then we'll get back to, we'll call you back and tell you that you need that.
Okay.
If there's anything in there that we think we might need from you, we'll just give you a call. We'll get it straightened out. But I think.
But I think the background check they run through NDOW is the same thing through FBI, it's just done on your SOC versus your, fingerprints. Where in education, they make you do a fingerprint card.
Okay.
Which would be a lot nicer if they just did it on our SOC.
What do you? Well, that's not pertinent, relevant to this meeting. But what do you think they gain by having you put your fingerprints in?
The county gets to make, especially by redoing it.
Okay.
I still maintain my teaching credential and I still had to
And
go
your
get fingerprints. Although my fingerprints did change actually, one time.
They did?
Yeah, don't run your thumb into a table saw, it's
Oh,
not a good.
yeah. I'm pretty sure.
One
I'm
thumb,
pretty sure
you
that-
know what I'm talking
pretty sure
about.
that fingerprint's not safe.
Exactly. They do change. I'll try to call him and get it that way, but I never know which number.
My uncle blew his thumb off. Killing cattle at the feedlot or the packing house there in Arrington, I think.
My
Set
uncle,
the gun down.
Jeff Boyd's
my uncle got married and jumped out of a stock truck in the old
Yeah, I'm
days when he had
calling
them
it right
stock
now.
trucks and braced himself to catch himself, and they used to have a chain that tied the
Oh,
keep
yeah.
the stock out.
Hey, Boyd.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, press pound.
Anyway, he
Boyd?
pulled the ground and before his fingers stood up there.
Hey, Boyd, we got you on speakerphone now. Let us know if you can't hear what we're transaction. Mr. Chair, you want me to update him on where we're at?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
pretty good.
Okay.
I'll just sit and listen and try and catch up.
Okay, we'll tell you that we have gone through the review and approval of new committee applicants for the 2 additional positions as approved by the Nevada legislature. We had 2 applicants, one in sportsman and one in guide. The sportsman's and kind of on the guide, but not as much. We had a question on the background checks that were required. Since we only had one applicant, the chairman has chosen to defer that decision until October 13th. And by October 13th, we'll put it back out for any other applicants that might be interested, because we had some confusion by a member that had attended the last meeting that didn't realize the applications had come out. We'll put out the applications one more time. Staff will garner all that information together, including the background check information, and then we'll forward that to the chair, Pete Paris, by October 13th, in which case then Pete, as the chair, will make the final decision on the 2 appointed positions after the date of October 13th.
Okay, that sounds great.
Did you? I know it don't matter, or it's not irrelevant, Boyd, but did you want to hear who the 2 applicants were right now and what they had to say, or are you good with that?
I mean, one was a Crink and one Gardner.
Correct.
One's Walt Gardner, which is here today, and Cody Crink is not here today. So.
Okay.
Probably teaching school.
You know, the things the applications, they got emailed out. I got just blank application forms with no, they were not filled in, so I didn't get too much background on those.
Right, that's what I got too. I didn't know if they were asking me to apply or what.
Your decision's already been made.
I got
Pardon?
mine,
I said I will refer to the decisions that you've already made.
Okay, well, that sounds good, but
We'll get you a copy. We'll get everybody a copy. We'll scan these into PDF and ship them over to you, just so you have a copy of everybody's app.
They were in PDF.
They were in PDF.
Yeah. Just FYI.
Okay, and then before that, we just had which there were no public comments, and we approved the minutes of June 29th of 2015. I don't know if you had a copy of those, or if you had any questions on those.
No questions.
All right, with that, we're going to probably move on to, we're going to request a letter of support from the licensure of zinc phosphide concentrate, EPA registration number 56228-6 for the control of ground squirrels and alfalfa, grass hay or other right-of-way applications. Flint and Robert are going to give us a presentation, I guess.
I'll let Robert defer to the presentation. Ultimately, I'll just say right here, ultimately what we're asking for is everybody's approval of this. Essentially, originally what we were going to do is we were going to ask the Board of Ag for a letter of support. Actually, we weren't able to get that on the Board of Ag agenda, but we actually think there's probably a better idea, considering we have 2 members of the entities that we need. What Robert needs is, first of all, for Mark to apply for the licensure of it, which I'm sure he will do. And then we need an industry support letter. So what we really like out of this committee is basically a motion asking us to go to Cattlemen's Farm Bureau and Sheep Producers, Wool Growers Association, and ask for them to write us each a letter in support, which I'm sure that they would do so as well. So that's really what we have as far as the request. And Robert, if you have any questions about zinc phosphide or anything like that, you need to defer to him, but I'll let Robert fill in anything else there.
I have one question before we start.
Sure. Okay.
The zinc phosphide, is that 1080? No.
No.
Oh, okay. What's the legal name for 1080?
Sodium fluoracetate.
There you go.
Okay. All right, that was my only question. I was like, yes, that would be great, but that would never happen. I don't think.
Yeah. So the zinc phosphide, Robert Little, NDA for the record. The zinc phosphide, it has been registered in Nevada before, but it has not been registered for the control of ground squirrels and to be used in alfalfa. It's part of the problem why we've never actually been able to use it here in Nevada. We've had a number of growers have made suggestions they would really like to try to use this product. They're using it in Oregon. They're also using it in California. It's comparable in price to the strychnine that we have, but the kind of the upside on the zinc phosphide is it kind of goes out in the same manner as the strychnine, but it doesn't have the secondary kill aspects that the strychnine does. Where if an animal was to eat a dead animal killed by strychnine, it has the potential of dying as well. Where the zinc phosphide doesn't transfer that way. So it's a little bit of a safer product. And the other thing that we're looking at is in California, one of the ways that they're using it, and that's the way that we will petition to get the label for Nevada to be written, is they don't stuff it into the burrows. They actually just put it at the opening of the burrows, which is takes a lot less manpower and time to actually just if you're just putting it around the burrows instead of actually stuffing it in the burrows. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that it doesn't have the secondary kill the strychnine does, so it's okay to use it at the top of the burrows. But yeah, we think this is definitely a good product as far as being something that will be safer than strychnine. So we're very happy to get this thing through as a 24C, which is a special local needs for Nevadans. The permit that we will put in for will be for 5 years. At which time, when that expires, we'll look at re-putting in for another special local needs after that. And that's kind of what we've done with strychnine over the last 20 years or so. So, if you've got any questions about the product, I can try to answer to you some of those questions. We have never used it here in Nevada, so we don't really know the efficacy. Chuck Moses, who runs our environmental services program at the Department of Agriculture, is actually contacting people in the Oregon Department of Agriculture and also in California CDFA just to get some feedback on how well the product is actually working in California. But instead of waiting on those things, we wanted to give our ranchers and farmers the ability to use this at this upcoming spring. So we're pushing forward to get this 24C through quickly.
I have one question for you. If this is so much more user friendly, why has it taken so long to get to? How would California get on something faster than we did?
It's a good question. The product is made by the USDA. It is a USDA product. We've just, I can't speak to exactly why it would be. We've just been kind of always using strychnine. It seemed to work for us, and we haven't been asking for other products. All it really took was to have industry ask to have the product put on and registered here in Nevada, and we're pushing forward the request to have it registered for Nevada.
Is it more palatable?
I don't really know if it's more palatable. I don't know really the efficacy and how well it's being taken up in Oregon and California, to be quite honest with you. I know there's a number of companies that are pesticide control operators who are in the business of doing control work, who are in Oregon and California that are doing quite a bit of work with this, and they seem to be having good results, but I haven't seen it firsthand.
Boyd, are you there?
Essentially, I was going to have the same question you asked. Is it just a lack of demand for it was the only reason I wasn't licensed here or registered here? But I think you pretty well answered that.
Right. I had a question for you. Would it be more palatable? I know in the olden days, strychnine was you always had to doctor it with something like put it inside a lard, so they had to swallow it before they could taste it. And is this something that you would understand in the veterinary field? Would it be more palatable, or?
I don't have a clue. I don't know what the palatability. I would suspect that that particular combination of the salt would be somewhat bitter, I would think.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Boyd. Mike, Mark.
Yeah, again, zinc phosphide
you've been able to buy zinc phosphide on oats for many, many years. And granted, the label says with that, you have to put it down inside the burrow, so it has to be applied underground. That's the only way that you've been able to use that. And so it's pretty labor intensive, but if you were just doing a small area and you wanted a 25-pound bag of zinc phosphide on oats, then you'd go around and you'd have to use a spoon or whatever and put it right down the hole. We've done that at like the Reno airport for years. We've done that. But we're talking about buying the concentrate that you as the producers can put on whatever you think you can get those squirrels to eat. For example, up in Oregon, they use zinc phosphide a lot on carrots to poison nutria. And that's one of the things that they found, that certain times of the year you can put this on carrots and the nutria love this and they poison nutria with it. So we're asking, okay, we're going to say cabbage or alfalfa to put it on zinc phosphide concentrate on this. If you guys in industry want something else other than for a bait, you need to say so now, because we're going to be limited to cabbage and alfalfa, right?
That's what we were going to put it for, yeah. Talking to Chuck Moses, he says, you know, if you ask for a wide range of different products, then they start questioning why you're asking for so many different products, you know, because they're like, well, are you actually growing carrots? Because they want you to be using mainly the products that the squirrels would be attracted to in the first place. So they're in our alfalfa fields. So that's why we're asking to actually extend the label to be applied when it's mixed with alfalfa. The strychnine one, we did ask for carrots and other vegetables, and I think we're going to do the same thing with this one, and it should be just fine. And I think other vegetables will just be the category that we ask for instead of spelling out each individual vegetable specifically on the label.
Or other grains.
Or other grains, yeah.
Because from my study on the ground squirrels, when they come out in the spring, they're hungry. Alfalfa baits and cabbage baits seem to work the best.
Right.
In the middle of July, when they're storing up for the winter, and I've seen that this year, especially with so many of them, they have pulled down more plants, canary grass, 3 feet tall. They knocked all the canary grass down, and they're picking up the seeds, and they're either eating the seeds or taking them with them or storing up the seeds for the winter. So
right.
if we do have to make it, we'd want to make sure we included grain or grain and vegetables or...
And there will be some restrictions on the timing of this too,
Yes.
because I know the EPA is going to be concerned about the use of this in any kind of a food crop or a crop that's going to be fed to livestock. So there is, I'm pretty sure, there'll be that says if you use this, you can't cut your hay for 60 days. That kind of a window. If you're going to use this above ground, this isn't going in the hole. This is going to be used above ground.
I think some of the restrictions are, you know, you can't use it once if you're going to be using it in an alfalfa field, they'll tell you you can't use it once the alfalfa reaches past 4 inches or something like that. I can't think how the labeling is written on there. And they've got a time window. You can use it from January 1st through, you know, I'm not sure what the time window is, but that's kind of what the restrictions are going to be on the label. Because we're basically attaching onto the labels that Oregon and California have already done and trying to expand upon those labels.
So I think the specifics of this label and what we're trying to do, and again, this is all what you guys want, is to provide something that's going to be just as that alfalfa starts to emerge, that you can treat that and treat it above ground and treat it to the point where you can get a pretty good kill on those squirrels. Does that sound like a good idea?
No, that's what it sounds to me.
Just a general question, because it's being applied for above ground, does that prevent somebody from putting it down the burrow or no?
No, they can still apply in the burrow. But there was a request for, you know, something that could be applied above burrow to save on the labor intensiveness of actually stuffing burrows on, you know, 80 acres of alfalfa or something like that. It's a lot of work.
So what if they're worried about the alfalfa and the hay? There's no secondary killing. If cattle eat the bait, does it affect them?
It could, because it's an anticoagulant. The zinc phosphide concentrate is an anticoagulant. So
Is
you
that
don't
the same stuff that we're already using that
possibly
they have?
Yeah.
It's that blood pressure medicine.
Well, that's like warfarin, but I don't know if this is the same, but I'm pretty sure this is an anticoagulant.
It's an anticoagulant.
If it's a blood pressure
It's
medicine.
not the same as warfarin. You know, it's a different class of chemical.
It's Xarelto.
Because some of the stuff that they've had out there now, I'm not sure if it was supposed to have when it came from Oregon, but that just made them fat.
Wormer.
Huh?
Wormer.
Yeah, well, because they couldn't eat enough of it. They told me I wasn't feeding them enough, and I was feeding them 3 5-gallon buckets, and 3 hours later they were gone at $150 a pail, and they told me I didn't feed them enough, and I said, well. He says, you got a big problem. You got too many squirrels. I says, no kidding. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, not knowing what product you used. Yeah.
Go ahead, Boyd.
Well, you know, my question was in regards to the toxicity of the thing itself. It is toxic to mammals, you know, somewhat. Really toxic to fish. So I would think that these other states that are using it probably have some issues to the form or what kind of a bait is what's best used with the least amount of side effect, rather than our limiting ourselves to just alfalfa and cabbage. Should we be looking into what is most successful in the other states as far as the formulation of the bait itself?
Boyd, this is Robert Little. I would agree with you, and that's why Chuck Moses is calling Oregon and California to see. You know, you can only read so much off of a label, but to actually talk to people that are using it and see what they're seeing is why he's calling them to see what's been working best for them.
So would you guys prefer to have the letter requested in a more neutral manner?
Yeah, I did, and Flint put it out in the board packet. I put a template letter in, and it's specifically, if you just, really the EPA is going to be looking for, the reason that we want to use this is because it would be a safer product on secondary kill. And if you look at the verbiage that I put on the template letter, it's pretty basic there. I've got it in this packet here somewhere. But it's just basically putting your support for the Department of Agriculture to go forward with the EPA registration of this product as a, not necessarily as I guess it would be an alternative to strychnine because of its, secondary kill effects that they're minimal. This wouldn't mean that we're going to lose our registration on strychnine. For those people who still want to use strychnine, we will continue to carry that. That's nothing that we're looking at anytime soon or even in the future of releasing. So we want to keep that one, but this would just be another product, another tool to give to ranchers and farmers to use to combat squirrels.
So for the record, this is Jim Barbie. They're basically saying if you support this, if you want to take action on this, you're just saying that you want one more tool in the toolbox that you don't currently have. Because right now, legally, you shouldn't be using this product in the state of Nevada because it isn't registered in the state of Nevada. If we register it and some of you are able to benefit from it, super. Maybe somebody else benefits from it and it isn't you. Right now, they just are asking whether or not you would do a letter of support to help get it approved in the state.
And this will not jeopardize the strychnine? Jim, that sounds good the way you're phrasing that. But just in case it changes anybody else's mind as to whether or not they would support it, it's not an anticoagulant. It actually works on the mitochondria at the cellular level, so it affects the actual metabolism and respiration in that cell. So it's not an anticoagulant like warfarin.
Okay. Grant, we didn't quite catch your question. Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that this will not jeopardize the use of strychnine.
No, it should not.
Okay.
This-
In my experience, the zinc phosphide with use in gophers is fine. Just my 2 cents.
Okay.
But for the record, this would not jeopardize the strychnine production that we're doing in the state currently. that would still be a choice of the producer.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any motion to support this letter?
Well, I make a motion we support the letter if it gives something that'll help.
Yep. Daryl Purcell made a motion, is there a second?
Second that.
Okay, I think you were first, Boyd, so Boyd made the second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. All right, with that, maybe we'll get Mark to give us an update from Wildlife Services.
Again, Mark Jensen for the record. Again, things are pretty normal in the Wildlife Services shop. We do have some vacancies that we're still working on. We have a vacant pilot position in Elko that is currently announced, and we're gathering applicants right now, so we're hoping to have a new pilot on board by this fall. We have another crew member position down in Ely that we're filling. We have a state trapper position in Yerington that we're working on filling. And then we have another state trapper position in Ely that we're trying to fill. So again, there's different things going on, trying to find some good people to fill these jobs. It seems to be harder and harder all the time, but we'll keep doing our due diligence. So, but other than that, everything is going good. And again, I'll say, like I did have before, that if this committee has any specific recommendations on what they would want to hear about or talk about, or if you need any specific reports or whatever this committee needs, I'd be happy to put that together for you guys. And as we go forward, obviously this committee is going to be reviewing the predator plan that we work with NDOW to put together. So, but again, whatever you guys need, let me know, and we'll try to put it together for you.
What effect does the judgment that came out here in the last month or so have on you guys, or how's that going to affect things?
And again, Mark Jensen for the record, what that was is a ruling by the Ninth Circuit Court. And that's our lawsuit with Wild Earth Guardians. Again, Wild Earth Guardians had sued us, I think, clear back in 2011 or 12. And that went to the district court in Las Vegas, where we won the initial ruling. Wild Earth Guardians appealed, went to the Ninth Circuit, and we kind of figured what would happen at the Ninth Circuit, and it indeed did get remanded back to the lower court. So now all that means is we're going to actually have to go back to the district court and look at this based on the merits of the case, because we went on standing right out of the box. So it doesn't mean that we've really lost anything. It just means that we go back to the district court.
Means the water's still muddy.
Yeah. Means it'll probably go on. And we have a strong NEPA analysis. We think we're going to do fine, and that will probably be appealed, and this is going to go on for 2 or 3 more years.
Not as muddy as the water in Colorado.
Walt Gardner for the record. With this, is there an injunction with it, or can you continue operations until it's settled?
No, we keep going. We're not enjoined from doing anything, so we just keep going.
Mark, are you receiving more scrutiny within the state of Nevada than you have in the past? As you look at the media, things have been kind of bubbling up as they, find out that there's, projects out there for ravens and that sort of thing.
Yeah, Boyd, I think it's just kind of the day and age that we're living in now. I mean, as far as the media, yeah, you know, anytime something is written by the AP and then it gets picked up nationwide, then that always kind of blows up on us, but that's just kind of normal stuff. That the Starling work that we did there in Fallon got written up and picked up by the AP, and then the lawsuit decision got picked up by the AP as well. So, but that's just normal stuff. Does that answer your question, Boyd?
Yes, thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Well, I guess with that, thanks, Mark. It brings us to the public comments on whatever we discussed today, I guess. Anybody got any of those? Hearing none. Does anybody have an objection to adjournment? Well, I guess this meeting's adjourned.
Stay on the line, Boyd, please.
Yep.
Thanks, Grant.
Thanks, Grant.
Thank you, guys.
I'll let you get back to haying.
I don't know if he just didn't wanna do it.
I don't know the names. The only one I know that job I know it was